And the next game that I wanted to touch on, or that I had predicted previous to Week 13, the Titans versus the Browns. Another shout out, another apology that I got to give Baker Mayfield. I didn't go as harsh as Baker Mayfield as I did for Taysom Hill, but Baker Mayfield, you impressed me yesterday. 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in the first half, I believe. It looked amazing. That offense was firing on all cylinders, and they left some touchdowns on the board too. If you were watching the game early, I think when it was 0-0, Browns were diving down the field. Baker Mayfield hit Donovan Peoples-Jones like right in the mittens. If he would have catched that, he has like 4 yards to go with no one around him. He would have scored for sure, but he dropped the ball and they had to settle for a field goal. Donovan Peoples-Jones did end up getting a touchdown later on a beautiful double move that Baker Mayfield hit him with. But they definitely left some points out there, and they scored 38 and a half, the most points in a half by a team this season. So shout out to Baker Mayfield, shout out to the Browns. 9-3 for the season, guarantee a winning season for the first time since they had that 10-6 season, I believe, with Derek Anderson as their quarterback. So it's been a while. I know the Browns have struggled. They've gone through their pains. They've gone through so many quarterbacks. But finally, 9-3, it virtually guarantees them a playoff spot unless they really just completely choke this last 4 weeks. They do have a tough schedule. They still have to play the Steelers. They still have to play the Ravens next week. But the Ravens are not the last year's Ravens. But they did, to the Ravens' credit, they did give the Browns a beatdown earlier in the season, so the Browns should be extra motivated to show that they're one of the big teams in the NFL. So I know they want revenge on the Ravens. And then the last week of the NFL season, Week 17, they play the Steelers. The Steelers might have first place in the AFC clinched by that point. So we'll see if they have it clinched. We'll see if they play their starters. Because the Chiefs do play the Saints. If the Saints beat the Chiefs, then the Steelers might, because of that, clinch the first seed. So we'll see if they get the best Steelers. If they don't, if the Steelers are still playing for something, that could be a tough matchup for the Browns. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Baker Mayfield, 334 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 25 out of 33. That's a beautiful stat line. For the season, he has 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a 3-to-1 pass to interception ratio, like 98 quarterback rating. So Baker Mayfield quietly, he doesn't have the yards, but he quietly is having a really good season, bounce back season after last year's down year. And Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt continue to be a running threat. That play action is amazing. Baker Mayfield is a different quarterback when you can't pressure him. The Titans have one of the worst passing pressuring defenses. I think they're 29th in the NFL, 28th or 29th at pressuring the quarterback, and it was evident yesterday. That's a big problem for the Tennessee Titans. If you're Tennessee Titan fans, that should keep you up at night because the offense is pretty good. If you get Derrick Henry going, that play action, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, you got some weapons. You could definitely do something with that offense, but that defense isn't scaring anybody. Quarterbacks have a lot of time to dissect that passing defense. So we'll see how far the Tennessee Titans go. Last year they made it to the AFC Conference Final or AFC Conference Championship. I don't think they'll get there this year. Even they still have a chance to miss the playoffs. They're tied with the Colts now at 8-4, and they could potentially miss the playoffs. The AFC playoff race is crazy. So the Tennessee Titans need at least three wins to secure that playoff spot. 2 probably gets it done, but we'll see how they do in this last coming weeks. I did have the Colts winning the division, so we'll see how it plays out. 8-4 right now. They too big of a hole in the first half. They didn't show up. They showed some heart in the second half. I knew Mike Vrabel's team was not going to give up. He has instilled that in that team. They're fighters. So I was pretty impressed to see them come back in the second half, but it was just insurmountable lead. We'll see how they do next week. They play the Jaguars next week, so a big opportunity to bounce back against a struggling Jaguars team that has Mike Lennon as their quarterback. And like I said, the Browns have the Ravens, so we'll see how they do. And then they have the Giants. The Giants have been playing really good, so 2 tough matchups. And then they get a break with the Jets, and like I said, they close with the Steelers. So I do have the Browns holding on to a playoff spot. They just need to get 2 wins out of their last 4 games, and they're in basically because of all these matchups. So we'll see we'll see how this plays out. But one more time, Baker Mayfield, shout out to you. You had a great game. I'm starting to become a believer of the Browns. And they're going to make the playoffs. So shout out to the Browns. Tennessee Titans, we'll see if they're able to hold on. But it was a good game. It was an entertaining game. There was a lot of points scored, especially by the Browns in the second half. The second half, they only scored 3, but that lead that they built was more than enough. Tennessee Titans try to make a furious comeback, but it's just too little, too late. But overall, a great game. I'm not that sad that I didn't hit on my prediction. I enjoyed the game. Baker Mayfield put on a show. It was fun to see. The Browns are a fun team. When the weather permits, the Browns are a fun team. So I'm definitely going to tune in, especially next week. That's probably going to be one of the games I predict. Ravens versus Brown on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a good game. So that was the second game for this week that I predicted, and I got wrong. I went 0-3 in the NFL this week. Pretty upsetting, but I mean, it happens. No one's ever gone 100%. Upsetting to go 0-3, but it is what it is.